In the previous lecture, we have seen the internal respiration in animals. Now in this lecture, we are going to see the regulation of breathing. Now breathing is very much important, and how this breathing is regulated in the body. Okay, the regulation, the breathing, it is under the control of nervous and chemical control. Okay, we all know that in adult animals the breathe are nothing but 12 times per minute. Okay, normal human adult 12 times per minute, and in case of newborn baby it is about 44 times per minute. So this is about the normal breathing. Now normal breathing, it is an involuntary process. That means it is not in our control. Normal breathing is not our control. Okay, this is the normal breathing. It is controlled by neurons which is located in the pons and medulla. Okay, now pons and medulla are nothing but the parts of the brain. Parts of the hindbrain, we can say. Okay, pons and medulla are the parts of the brain, and these pons and medulla are also called as respiratory centers. Okay, now these respiratory centers regulate the rate and depth of the breathing. Okay, you can see one diagram on your screen. This is the regulation of breathing. Now in this diagram you can see that there is a presence of brain, there is a presence of heart, and there is a presence of the ribs, are called as chest region. Okay, in this diagram, in the brain you can see two parts are there, pons and medulla. At the base of the brain there is a presence of pons and the medulla. Okay, these are called as the respiratory centers, and how these respiratory centers are stimulated or worked, it is shown in this diagram. You can see there are O2 and CO2 receptors present, which is originated from the heart. Okay, there are some of the nerves which is arised from the heart, you can see, and that is reaches up to the pons and medulla, and from the pons and medulla you can see that there are nerves which is reached up to the chest region, that is up to the lungs. So in this diagram you can see the respiratory centers are grouped into three groups. Okay, dorsal group, which is present in the medulla, is called as inspiratory center. The ventrolateral group, it is also in the medulla, it is called as inspiratory and expiratory center. And the third group, it is called as pneumotaxic center, which is present in the pons. So first two groups, that is dorsal and ventrolateral groups, are present in the medulla, called as respectively inspiratory center and inspiratory and expiratory center, and third group, it is present in the pons, called as pneumotaxic center. There is another center called as pneumotaxic center, which is antagonistic to the pneumotaxic center. Okay, now we are going to see the process of the inspiration and expiration regulation. First we will see during the inspiration. We all know that at the time of inspiration we are taking oxygen inside. Now when there is a oxygen taking inside, the lungs are going to be expand, and that lungs are going to expand to a critical point. Okay, that means there are some of the limitations for that expanding. When it is fulfill their expanding, the stimulation goes to the expiratory center. Now from the expiratory center, the message sends to the inspiratory center for the inhibition. That means when the expandation is limited, it is fulfilled, then message sent to the expiratory center. From the expiratory center, the inhibitory message sent to the inspiratory center. That means expiratory center stops the inspiration by sending a message. When inspiration stops, this is followed by the expiration. Okay, then the expiration follows. We know that at the time of the expiration, when the air leaves the lungs during the expiration, then the stretch receptors are relaxed. Now we know that at the time of the expiration, the air leaves the lungs, and at that time the stretch receptors are going to be relaxed, and as a result of this, the inspiratory center is free or relaxed. Okay, as a inspiratory center is relaxed, the new respiration is begins. Okay, this is very simple type of process. At the time of the inspiration, lungs expand. It is expand up to their last limit. When the last limit comes, the message sent to the expiratory center. Expiratory center sends message to the inspiratory center for the inhibition of inspiration. When inspiration stops, the expiration starts. At the time of the expiration, when air leaves the lungs, then the stretch receptors are relaxed. As a result of this, the inspiratory center is also relaxed or free, and now the new inspiration is started. So this is a cycle of inspiration and expiration. We know that we also can voluntarily change the pattern of breathing. Okay, in case of some emergency cases or in some adverse cases, we can control our breath, okay, by using the cerebral cortex. Okay, it has ability to stop breathing, okay, but it is limited. Okay, it has some of the limitation. We know that when we are in the water, we can stop our breathing up to some time, but after some time we need to breathe. So this is a limitation, but we can stop the breathing. In case of another cases, okay, in another cases, just like if there is a very bad smell, we can stop our breath for some time, but this is very limited. Okay, it is voluntary, but it is limited, and it prevents the water and irritant gas reaches into the lungs. For to prevent the irritants and water passage into the lungs, this type of voluntary process is there. So this is about the regulation of breathing. Now coming to the some common disorders of the respiratory system. Now these are very common in this pandemic situation of COVID-19. Okay, the respiratory disorders are there in the patients of COVID-19 or pandemic patients. So we are going to see some of the disorders. You can see some chart of a disorder. There are majorly 8 disorders given here. We are going to see one by one. Disorders are there. After that, their symptoms, their cause and treatment are given in this chart. Okay, 8 disorders are there. Upon that, first 2 disorders are nothing but the emphysema and chronic bronchitis. Of this both disorders, the causes are same, that is smoking and air pollution. That means emphysema and chronic bronchitis, it is caused by smoking and the air pollution. Now the symptoms of the emphysema are nothing but the breakdown of alveoli. Alveoli, it is a part of a lungs. Okay, and shortness of breath is also there. So this is symptom of the emphysema. The symptoms of chronic bronchitis are shortness of breath, here also shortness of breath, and coughing is there. Okay, chronic bronchitis, in that coughing and shortness of breath is there. Now cause is the same, smoking and air pollution. Now treatment is the same for both these disorders. Okay, because causes are same, that's why the treatments are same. Okay, what are the treatments for these disorders? Quick smoking, that means stop smoking, that is the first treatment. Then avoid polluted air, go to the safe places where less pollution is there. Okay, then administer oxygen to relieve the symptoms. To take oxygen more and more, go to the places where more oxygen is there. This is the treatment for these two disorders. Now coming to the next three disorders, that is acute bronchitis, sinusitis and laryngitis. Okay, these are the three disorders which is caused by common agent, that is viruses and bacteria. Okay, but their symptoms are different. Acute bronchitis is related with the inflammation of bronchi. Sinusitis, it is related with the inflammation of sinuses. And laryngitis, it is related with the inflammation of the larynx, or we can call it as vocal cords. Okay, in acute bronchitis, inflammation of bronchi is the common, but shortness of breath is also there. Okay, and another special symptoms are yellow mucus coughed up. That means yellow mucus it is formed in the chest region or in the respiratory system. Talking about the sinusitis, inflammation of sinuses is there, and also there is mucus discharge is there. So these are some symptoms of sinusitis. Then coming to the laryngitis, okay, it is a different type of disorder where inflammation of larynx, we are called as vocal cords, or also called as voice box. Okay, sound is produced from this larynx. Then sore throat region, it is sore throat, that is throat region is going to inflamed. Then hoarseness of voice is changed. Okay, and cough and mucus is there. This is the symptoms of these three of the disorders. Their causes are nothing but the virus and bacteria. The treatments are same for three of them. If it is bacterial, take the antibiotics, and for these disorders use of vaporizer is must. Okay, but in case of laryngitis, there are some another treatments. Okay, just like that of the voice rest. Voice rest is must in this laryngitis. Avoid the irritants like smoke. So these are the treatments for these three disorders. Now coming to the well-known disorder of the respiratory system is called as pneumonia. Now in this pandemic situation, pneumonia's patients are going to be increased. So it is well-known disorder, and we should know the symptoms of this disease or disorder. It is also caused by the bacteria or virus. Streptococcus pneumoniae is one of the causative agent of the pneumonia disorder. What are the symptoms for the pneumonia? Inflammation of the lungs is the severe symptom, and this is ranging from mild to severe cases. Again, another symptoms are cough and fever is there. Chill is the symptomatic characteristics of the pneumonia. Then shortness of breath is there. The special characteristics is, or symptoms are, sweating and chest pain is there. And again, one characteristic symptom is blood in the mucus. These are some of the symptoms of the pneumonia. Now, what is the treatment for the pneumonia? Pneumonia, it is treated by consulting a physician immediately. When you are going to see some of the symptoms of these, you should immediately go to the physician. Okay, then take antibiotics, then cough medicines, and stay warm is the treatment for the pneumonia. This is about the disorder pneumonia. The next disorder is asthma. It is also a well known disorder. Okay, asthma, it is caused by allergy to pollen, food additives, pet hair, and some foods. Okay, allergy of anything, it leads to the asthma. Okay, we know that there are so many peoples in our surrounding which is having asthma. Okay, what are the symptoms of this asthma? Constriction of bronchioles. Okay, that means bronchioles are not reach up to their limits. That is constriction of bronchioles. Then mucus in the bronchioles, it is high. That means bronchioles are the parts of the lungs where the transportation of oxygen and CO2 takes place. And if this bronchioles it is full of mucus, then there is a difficulty in the breathing. Okay, and if difficulty in breathing takes place, there is wheezing, periodic wheezing takes place. So that leads to the asthma. So constriction of bronchioles and discharge of the mucus in the bronchioles are some symptoms. Difficulty in breathing are the symptoms of the asthma. Okay, what are the treatment for that? We know that they use inhalants. So use of inhalants to open the passage for the oxygen and CO2 transportation. So we are mechanically give pressure to open the passage, okay, by using the inhalants. And again, avoid the irritants. These are some treatments for the asthma. Next disorder, it is very much important, that is called as occupational respiratory disorders. At the time of the occupation or the work, the peoples are come in contact with some of the dangerous material, and that leads to the respiratory disorders. Here two examples are given: silicosis and asbestosis. Okay, what are the symptoms of that? Inflammation, fibrosis, and lung damage are the two symptoms. Lung damage is the major symptom of these occupational disorders. Causes for these are long-term exposure to the dust particles. Two examples are there: silica and asbestos. Respectively, silica will resulting into the silicosis, and asbestos is resulting into the asbestosis during the occupation, and that leads to these disorders. Then what are the treatment for that? Use of mask, protective mask. Now in case of pandemic COVID-19 also, use of mask is must. Okay, so this is a treatment, that is protective mask, use of protective mask during the work. So occupational disorders are very much dangerous because continuously they are come in contact with this dangerous particles. Okay, and that leads to the death of the person. So this is about some disorders related with the respiratory system. Okay, then transportation in the living organisms. We know that there are many of the organisms. It may be unicellular, multicellular. Okay, they may be dependent on the another animals, or they are self-sufficient. Everyone is needs a transportation, and transportation takes place in their body. Okay, organisms takes up the oxygen and the nutrients from the surrounding. That oxygen and nutrients circulated within the body for various metabolic activities, and by that metabolic activities, whatever the waste is generated, it is given out of the body into the surrounding. So in that process, transportation is important. Okay, taking oxygen and nutrients inside, it is circulation, and waste, it is given out. It is all possible because of only the transportation. Okay, the transportation, it is occurs by diffusion and active transportation. We have seen the diffusion of gases, oxygen into the from lungs to the blood, and CO2 also from lungs to the blood to the lungs. So these are all it is occurs in the transportation. So there are two types of the transportation: intracellular transportation and extracellular transportation. Intracellular transportation means transportation inside the cells. This is called as intracellular transport. Cyclosis is one of the example. Okay, for example, in the paramecium, in the amoeba, in the root hair cells of the plant, and in the WBC in animals. In all that, the intracellular transportation takes place. Then second one is the extracellular transportation. That means transportation within the between the cells, from one cell to another cell. That is called as extracellular transportation. In case of sponges, coelentrates, flatworms, roundworms, this type of extracellular transportation takes place. In sponges, the canal system is there through which the extracellular transportation takes place. This is about the respiration in animals. In the next lecture, we are going to start with the circulation in animals. Okay, thank you.